Hello, sports fans, and welcome to a very special edition, NFL Draft Edition, I should say, of Scott Sports 101. And it is finally the 2021 NFL Draft has arrived. It is draft day. There's been no football since February, and as you can see, I am not on my usual set for the first time in a year. I did want a podcast from downtown, but it did not work out. But as I said, for the first time in a year, I am back at the Murphy House, the home of my really good friends, Matt and Kenny Murphy, and my guest, my special guest joining me is my really good friend, none other than Matt Murphy, and his brother-in-law will be joining us very shortly, Joe Monahan, and he knows a lot about the Miami Dolphins. We'll get to all that, and we'll talk about all that we think. We'll break it down, but first, here is tonight's Scott Sports 101 NFL Draft Trivia question. Who was the highest draft player in 2014 that made it to the Pro Bowl last season? I will have that answer later in this segment. Well, it is the 2021 draft. There's been no football since February, as I said, and the Browns are coming off their best season in years at 11-5. And the Browns have done very well so far this offseason. And Kevin Stefanski getting Coach of the Year, NFL Head Coach of the Year, which he deserves. And they've done great in the free agency and the NFL Combine. And I feel the Browns have made some very great moves in signing former Tennessee Titan Jadeveon Clowney, defensive end, to a one-year deal, which he's the recent signing.
Most recent signing, yep.
And they interviewed him today on 92.3 The Fan, and I thought that was a great move. What do you think of that move? What are your thoughts?
I think it was a great move. I think their entire offseason was super calculated and smart. And you look at the contracts some of these guys signed; they made a lot of sense. I love what Andrew Berry and this.
Yes, I like what he has done too. And
you clearly look at our defense, and it wasn't great, especially on the back end. But you bring in a great safety from the Rams. You bring in Troy Hill, the slot
we
corner.
Just signed,
And then Clowney was kind of like the icing on the cake. He's only a one-year deal, so you'll see the Browns address edge sometime.
And also they brought in
draft.
Malik Johnson as well.
Yeah.
Malik Jackson. Excuse me.
He's really good against the run. So it's going to be
and
it's going to be interesting to see what they do at 26. We're not used to picking that late in the draft.
Yeah, and it's a one-year deal worth up to $10 million, and Clowney might be playing opposite Myles Garrett this upcoming season.
Oh, yeah, he will be.
Yeah, he will be. And Garrett should benefit tremendously from the flurry of these moves this offseason. Now, 3/4 of the Browns' 2020 starting defensive line is gone. Now, Larry Obijobi is now with the
Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals, signed a 4-year deal with them. And Oliver Vernon is now the only one that was remaining in free agency, and he could make an impact on an NFL roster. And there are 3 teams that Vernon could easily sign with, and the Los Angeles Chargers, who let defensive end Melvin Ingram the third go, and he hit free agency this offseason. The team still has over $21 million left in cap space, and Vernon could very well be a good replacement. We'll see. And the Buffalo Bills, who are coming off a AFC Championship appearance and a 13-3 season, and are in need of a pass rusher to solidify their defense.
Yeah.
The Bills have $4.8 million left in cap space to play around with, but they could free up a bit more with a couple of moves, and Vernon could. This is another one. Vernon could be attracted to Buffalo for a chance to play for a ring. Now, another team. The other one that is interested in him is the Seattle Seahawks, and are another team that has been in the market for a pass rusher this offseason. The organization has already brought in Kerry Hyder Jr., who had 8.5 sacks last season to help improve their defense. However, that unit still needs a boost, and adding Vernon should do just that. Opposing quarterbacks could be in trouble if this ends up happening. And this very well could happen. But we'll see what happens. I think he will sign with one of those three teams. I think those are the three teams he's looking at.
I think the key is going to be to see how his injury. He was coming off a big injury, so that we'll see how he bounces back.
Yes, indeed.
But he played very well last year when Myles Garrett was out.
He did. He played very well.
He played very, very well. The key will be his injury there.
Yes, he did. Now, the Browns just recently released Sheldon Richardson, and Browns fans are wondering why. Now, like all decisions, any sports teams can make the fan base of the Browns in a split over the release of Sheldon Richardson. Now, while some consider him a top talent, he was anything but that doesn't mean he could easily be replaced after all. This is the NFL, and you never know what you're going to get until that player gets on the field. Now, it's very possible that Richardson was the best option for the 2021 season, or is it possible? Or is it possible he wasn't? Excuse me. Now, fans are wondering, so why was he released? Now, it all comes down to dollars and cents, and no, that wasn't a typo. Now, I'll make that clear. In common sense, firstly, a player of his caliber isn't worth the
type of money he's asking for.
Yeah, that's what.
That position is not. He was going to make a lot of money this year, and the Browns don't necessarily value that.
He is, and
that position, but he might be back, Scott.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
He'll be back.
Now that doesn't mean that he's worthless. Far from it. Yet it seemed unlikely that he'd take a pay cut to mirror what he was deserving of. Now, that isn't really the issue, though the Browns were still under the cap until with him, and a new signing Jadeveon Clowney, the acquisition that triggered Richardson's roster purge. They even had enough money under the cap with both men to pay for the rookies, the rookie, but though just barely. Now, there is a possibility that Richardson could return, but do you think that's going to happen? I don't know. It's hard to say right now if he's going to return.
Yeah, I think it depends on what they do in the draft. And I think what they did was they said, okay, if you can go out and find yourself a better deal, go ahead. But I don't want to bore everyone with the whole rollover cap thing, but the Browns really value rollover cap. They're going to be carrying a lot of cap space into next year, which can help sign Chubb.
And that's exactly
I think what the But there's a chance after the draft and when the dust settles that Richardson can come back because I think he really liked him here. And I think you're
absolutely correct on that, Matt, because it's really it's very high likely that Richardson could possibly return.
We're getting close to that time, Scott.
Yes, we are 7 minutes and 53 seconds away, so we're coming close to the opening of the NFL draft. Now, as Mary Kay Cabot from Cleveland.com wrote, the Browns were down to a little more than $10 million in 2021 cap space after signing Jadeveon Clowney on Wednesday just a few weeks ago. That would have just about covered their rookie pool. About $9 million they need cap space in the event they want to trade for a player or extend some of their own players this offseason. After the draft, and they'll pick up the fifth-year options, and which they have done on Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward.
Yep.
And if they decide they'll extend them this offseason, in which they have, and I think that was a good thing they did that, because I think we'll have Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward for a few more years yet.
At least two more, but I think they'll definitely get Baker together. I think Ward has that position that they'd like to get something done as well. Oh, yes.
And we know we will have Nick Chubb back. We will have him back.
He's going to be the interesting one, Scott, just how much they value that position. I mean, he's here next year, but, I mean, I'd love to have him back. It's just going to be hard to see.
Yeah, it's going to be
they
hard
could always
to see,
use
though.
the tag on him,
Yes.
and just see where it goes. 'Cause
Exactly.
The shelf life of a running back doesn't.
Yeah, and now, so why now the question is, so why did the Browns release Richardson? And if you've read the tea leaves, it's because they are gearing up to make some more moves in this draft and during the offseason. Now, whether that's picking up a fifth-year options on the Three Musketeers of the 2018 NFL draft class and working on extensions, or possibly going out to get someone like Stephen Gilmore, the Browns, by all appearances, don't appear to be done. And what happens next is anyone's guess. However, now whatever happens, the draft seems like a likely place for something novel to happen. Now, keep this in mind: the Browns have the 26th pick overall in the first round of this year's draft. And I feel they are going to pick a linebacker with this one because they need a linebacker. And with this pick, there could be some really good prospects out there for the Browns at linebacker, or the Browns, or the Browns might take an edge rusher with this 26th pick. But I really think they're going to go with a linebacker. And I don't know. Do you think they're going to go with a linebacker?
Well, Scott, you're not alone. There's a lot of mock drafts with a linebacker falling to the Browns. I would say it's kind of a need. The interesting question is going to be, we don't know for sure, but there's a lot of people say that analytic-based front offices don't really value the linebacker position as much as they do cornerback. Because remember, Greedy Williams,
exactly,
has got that shoulder problem. We don't know if he's coming back. They still need an outside corner. And then, edge. You only have Clowney on a 1-year deal.
And exactly.
Here's my hot take, buddy. Do not rule out wide receiver.
No, you don't want to. I agree.
In the first round,
I agree
you have
wholeheartedly.
and OBJ making a lot of money.
Yes,
and one coming back from a major injury. If the right guy is there, I would not put it past them to take a wide receiver in the first round.
Yes, indeed.
I wouldn't bet on it, but
we'll get some more in just a second. But right now, it is time to reveal. Before we get underway with the draft, I want to take this opportunity to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 NFL Draft Trivia question. Who was the highest draft player in 2014 that made it to the Pro Bowl this last season? You want to take a crack at it, Matt?
So wait, he was drafted in 2014?
Yes, he was.
And he made it to the Pro Bowl this year?
Yes.
Can you just give me a team name and maybe I'll guess?
Well, he was with the Giants and then was signed by the Browns.
Oh, was it Clowney? Or no, is it Vernon?
You're close. You're close. It is Odell Beckham Jr. And if
Oh.
you said Beckham,
Oops.
you are correct. Odell Beckham Jr., who was selected by number 12 by the New York Giants, made the Pro Bowl after a fantastic rookie season in which he finished with 1,305 yards and 12 touchdowns. Now, I will have another trivia question on tomorrow's NFL Draft podcast, so stay tuned for that. Now, the Browns have picks in all the rounds this year, and Browns fans are feeling pretty good right now because we are not having a pick in the top 10 this year.
Yeah, it's weird.
So we have picks in all of the rounds. We have the 59th pick in the second round, the 89th pick in the third round, the 91st pick in the third round, the 110th pick, and 132nd picks in the fourth round, the 169th pick in the fifth round, and the 211th pick in the sixth round, and the third to last pick in the seventh round, 257th. So I think in one of these rounds, the Browns will want to take, if they don't take a wide receiver in the first round, they'll want to take it in one of the other rounds to help with the rebuild of the defense, or they could take a edge rusher, a pass rusher with that, and a wide receiver, or a wide receiver, but I believe they're going to take a linebacker with that 26th pick overall.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier, Scott, too, about Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
There's rumblings of a trade for him. If they trade him, then all bets are off. I think they might go
Okay, well, I'm going to have to cut you off. We're going to take a break. We're almost ready to get underway. We'll be right back.